All right. Happy Thursday and welcome into the Ryan Ripken Show. And let us be the first on the Ryan Ripken Show to welcome you into 2025. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Realized we had the show right before New Year's.
Yes.
So hope you guys had a great New Year's Eve. You guys stayed safe. We got a lot to jump into here. And we know because of the change in the college football schedule, so Notre Dame and Georgia is playing at the top of the hour. So we're going to get to a lot of different things. And unfortunately, the reason why it did change was the horrific accident that happened down in New Orleans.
No, it wasn't an accident.
Not accident's the wrong word. I was trying to say incident, and it was an act of terror.
Yeah.
And it hurts your heart. And that's why I hope everyone out there, for whatever you're doing around the holidays, you stayed safe. And thoughts and prayers are with them. But we know why the game was moved. It was because of that. Senseless act is an understatement. I don't want to. This is not what it's supposed to be about, but it hurts to talk about.
Yeah.
It hurts to talk about. But hope you guys stayed safe. So let's pick up the energy. Let's talk about some fun things that we have to talk about. The Ravens had some news.
Yep.
So Kadri Ismail is going to join us here and talk about what just happened with some Ravens getting their first nod at the Pro Bowl, and one name that a lot of people probably did not expect at the start of the season that had consideration. Then we're going to continue on. There's records that could be broken in the NFL this week, but we won't see a record. The Eric Dickerson rushing record for 40 years looks like that's going to be safe, but is that the right call? And then we're going to jump into baseball, right? There's a lot of conversations around the Orioles, Jack Flaherty. And guess what? I did a breakdown last year. It makes a lot of sense to talk about why Jack Flaherty and his stuff could be very helpful and of value to Baltimore. And then there is a former Oriole that's still on the market that is maybe having his market heat up. So we will talk a lot about that in the future here. So, let's jump right into it. Zach is over there. Brad's over there. Hey, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What a start to the new year. I feel like it's going to be a good year. I'm feeling it. I've tweeted out 2025, Orioles and Ravens. We're going back-to-back championships in Baltimore.
Okay.
Speak it into existence.
Starts this year.
Do you have a bet behind it?
No, but I should place it. I really should. I'm going to do that now.
No, there it is. He's getting there. Brad, how we doing? Did you have a good New Year's?
Yeah. I'm very tired today.
Yep.
Just dragging ass.
Yeah, it's just one of those days. And honestly, also this whole week after the holidays, it feels like
it's not real.
Yeah, 100%.
What day of the week is it?
When the holidays are in the middle of the week like this, and then you have, Thursday, Friday. Some people go to work, some people don't. It just feels like you're still just hungover for the rest of the week. Like it doesn't even feel like you're supposed to be working right now.
I know you tweeted this out, Ryan, about yesterday feeling like a Saturday. I remember on New Year's Eve, I was literally having a conversation, and I was like, I physically, audibly said, I was like, well, then tomorrow, I was like, Saturday's a good day to do something. And they're like, tomorrow's Wednesday. And I was like, it is literally Saturday tomorrow. And I was like, oh, it is Tuesday. I was like, it's Tuesday. It just completely threw me off. Having the show on Monday, too, in my head after the show, I had said, that's a Thursday show.
Monday's show was Thursday.
That just in my head, I was like, oh, Thursday show. So the next day I was like, oh, it's Friday. And I'm like, nope, this is a Tuesday.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But it's really Thursday now. And then the Ravens are playing Saturday. It's the final week of the regular season. So the math here, it adds up.
Yeah.
Whatever you think it is during the holiday time, there is no right answer during the holidays.
Also, speaking of holidays, I just want to get this out of the way and shout out Zach's mom.
Oh, yeah.
For providing us with some of the most ridiculous desserts, cookies, whatever the hell that's in there.
So
it's all absolutely amazing. So shout out to you, Miss Molly.
Yeah. I gained so much weight around the holidays.
For those of you who don't have context, Zach's mom made us like a legitimate basket that you would buy from a store, but she made it herself.
Yeah.
And had all kinds of goodies in there that were absolutely amazing. I'm still walking by, and I can't walk by that table without
you just grab something.
Oh my God. And we're having Q on, so now I have to. Now he's in the background, so now I have to admit to him about how terrible I'm eating right now. But it's Zach's mom's fault.
This isn't a part of the missile training nutritional guidance here.
It's not making the book.
It's not. This is not what you're going to have to do in order to pass the conditioning test. Lord knows if Q learns what actually Kevin eats on a day-to-day basis.
The corn dogs. Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that we could go on and on about this. But hey, speaking of Q, why don't we bring on our guy that, again, I think he knows a thing or two about ball, definitely knows about, obviously, nutrition and training, but former Super Bowl champion and Baltimore Raven, our friend and yours, Kadre Ismail. Q.
Hey.
Q, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And I don't have any judgment whatsoever when it comes to eating a whole bunch of nasty ass food that'll inflame your body, cause your heart rate to just be all out of whack, your sleep, the circadian rhythms to be off. And then, of course, you're talking about having all those doggone meds. So you're going to be tied up to the pharmaceutical industry for the rest of your life. I'm not judging you on that. Do you? Love you anyway.
Zero judgment.
Hey, but I'll tell you what, though, Brad, was it good?
It's incredible.
It was damn good.
It's always worth
Nancy
it.
Bollinger is a very, very good baker.
It's one of those things where it's always like in your head, it's worth it. I know down the line, Q, down the line in 30 years, it won't be, but in the moment, at the time, I've convinced myself it is.
So the dopamine response is what the food scientists are trying to get you to tap into. So if I see something and it's like appealing to me, I'm just going to go ahead and be like, yo, I don't care if it bothers my body. They won. They're basically your drug dealer and they're taking your money. They're feeling like, yeah, we got success because now all of a sudden they eating all that nasty ass food and they're going to keep on eating it. And we can keep on cheapening it down and put all the seed oils in it. That's basically your petroleum oils. You're going to be living large. You'll be fine. Dopamine will be burnt out. Body be all craving for, the next fix to go into your arm or in this particular case, your mouth.
They win every time, Q. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I try not to, but they win.
Yeah, you know what? This would be a great other segment in the future. Have Q in, and we're just going to lay out everyone's favorites just for Q to just toss them and be like, no, this goes straight to, your stomach. Oh, this thing, it's going to kill you in 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, great. No more Oreos, no more anything. But
Yeah.
Q, hey, the body's a temple, man. You got to treat it the way you want.
B's a T.
B's a T. Hey, let's talk a little bit of ball here. There was some positives here to 2025 to start off. News came out for the Pro Bowlers, and I'm sure you probably have seen the list. But actually, let's start with the video. Q, you can watch it. You might have seen it. But for our audience here, a lot of guys are going to their first Pro Bowler, but specifically Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers got his first Pro Bowl nod, and Eric DaCosta got to tell him. The Ravens documented. So, Brad, let's play that clip for you and react on the other side.
Zach, is it this?
Hey, you got set? You made the Pro Bowl.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh,
You made it.
oh, 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 oh.
I think you might be the first receiver drafted that made the Pro Bowl. But you made it, man. You made it. You made it. I knew you would. First time I ever saw you, I knew you would. Excited, man. You believe that?
That's crazy though.
I know.
From a little kid, that's a dream.
I know. So I always tell people I have two favorite memories. Calling a guy when we draft him, and then telling him when they made the Pro Bowl for the first time. So, you know what, man? I'm so happy for you. Your family, your dad, you know what I mean? Now we got to keep it going, right?
Yep.
Our goal's not done,
Yep.
right?
Gotta go get that ring now.
Yeah.
I thought I was in trouble.
No, I know. That's what I wanted you to feel like. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you'll be down in Orlando. Hopefully you're not there
Yeah.
because that's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you
we're
know.
going there.
Yeah.
We're going there. I really go there.
Me too. Me too. So let's go, huh? Have a great week, okay? Now
Yes, sir.
don't get distracted too much by it. Enjoy it today,
I will.
but it's time to get back to work, right?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Amen.
So, hey, that's awesome, right? You see the excitement, the smile, also the fact that EDC is like, I wanted you to feel like you were in trouble. That all checks out
Yeah.
for what we've learned. But Q, Zay Flowers gets the honor. really awesome to see. It's a hard accomplishment. I know that they got bigger goals ahead of them, but this is something to note, and it's well deserving. Zay's had a fantastic sophomore year, helping the Ravens to the point that they're at right now.
Yeah, you look at Zay Flowers' start to his career, then you look at how he has continually worked at his craft, even into this year. It just speaks volumes to what not only the fans but also his peers think of him. And to be voted, a Pro Bowler, it's a significant thing. He's well deserving. He's made big time plays in critical moments, and that's what kind of defines a Pro Bowler. It's not a popularity contest in some regards. It's about what you have done on the football field to help your team. And I think for Zay, for the Baltimore Ravens, for the first time in their team history, to have finally get a drafted receiver make a Pro Bowl is quite incredible. And so I think for Zay Flowers, this is just the beginning. It's again one of those scenarios where it's like, wow, that is awesome. Okay, what's next? So again, what you saw there was basically both him and EDC were saying, this is awesome. I don't want to go because if he's not going, that means he's down in New Orleans and we're sitting there talking, having some good food, healthy, good food down in New Orleans doing the Ryan Ripken show.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic, right? But it is something good to monitor. And also, Zay, when he was drafted last year, and then to see what he did in year one, you're looking at him and you're going, man, this dude has some things. He's got some abilities to be a player that Baltimore can flip the script of the narrative of we can't draft and develop receivers. And at least in this year, we've seen Rashad Bateman being healthy, making impacts. And then Zay Flowers, obviously, right now and going over 1,000 yards in year two. It's great to see the development. And actually, Q, I think we have a play, at least one, to just break down one of the things that Zay does well. And I think, Zach, we can just pull it up. Is this video right here?
Yeah.
You get it right here. So this is against the Broncos here, Q. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, this is the long touchdown.
Yeah, this is the touchdown.
So, Q, I think you remember this, the Broncos right before the half. Mm-hmm. And one of the things Zay does well is obviously his route running, but man, when he has the ball in his hands, he can make things happen, and this happened on this play.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why the Ravens drafted him, it's, to get a guy who you just get him the ball and watch him work. And I think for, Zay, especially on this particular route, it just kind of shows his ability to find open space. It's an end cut, a dig. You got a guy clearing out for him, but I love the patience of the stemming of the route. He didn't just run into the hole. You see it from the beginning here, pushing up at the defender. Now he's going to just subtly widen back out before he comes into the hole. Obviously, the logo of the field is kind of a good marker for him, but you just watch him settle in. The ball is gone, so there's the trust factor with both him and Lamar. And then you could just see where, he's going to settle in and just snatch the ball out of the air. All of this is where you as a receiver, you got to have good timing. You got to have a good sense of things. And you just have to have a knack for making plays, because right here, I have good vision. I see what the guy was trying to do to me or against me, and it's his ability to get upfield to make those big chunk type yard plays.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong on the other one.
Again, this one here is the deep over. And so what I mean by deep over, the other one was an end cut. This one here has his cut split. And so now you got Rashad Bateman. Shout out to Rashad doing his job, taking defenders with him, taking two defenders with him. Look at that. Rashad Bateman, unsung hero right there, taking two defenders. It opens up that space between the numbers and the sideline. Lamar, good protection. It's an easy pitch and catch. Whop, snatch the ball out of the air. Another big play. And now you can also see where red zone takes patience. Red zone takes a lot of understanding of the defense, a lot of tight windows. And you go ahead and run this, and you'll see where I love how Monken puts him in motion, kind of identifying where guys are at. But this is cool.
Yeah, that was the
because
bad one from Lamar.
okay, that one there, that was like a good. I'm glad we didn't do that. But this one here, get that short motion. Now you're identifying man or zone. But this is Lamar being Lamar. And of course, the maturation process of Rashad Bateman. The maturation process shows that Lamar is going to extend you. You best believe, put your mind into a position of playing that quote unquote first play is dead. Second play, keep it alive, find the hole in the defense. And I just love how this is the part of Zay's game, especially in the red zone, where he's become more available. And then whoop, right there, use his quickness, get to open space. Lamar's going to find you. He did. Touchdown.
And then this is the touchdown.
This is the touchdown here.
This is the big one.
This is the big one. But going to the point of it, what I love, the evolution of what you're saying is Lamar's being Lamar, but these young guys, seeing them on the same page has been fantastic. And that trust factor to be able to make the play when called upon. But then Q, this is the touchdown, right, Zach?
Yeah, this one is.
Q, this play before the half was backbreaking and just showed you the full package of what Zay Flowers can do.
Yep, this here looks like it's quarter with a single high safety. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this is called speed, finding the open spot. Again, you see the work of Bateman, and then now the strong run after catch of Zay Flowers. That right there, like plays like this, that's Hall of Fame, or not Hall of Fame, but, well, it is Hall of Fame. You continue to do that throughout the course of your career, but that's Pro Bowl worthy. You know, what we just saw there was Pro Bowl worthy. It's like, hey, you got Bateman clearing out. Guys got to respect Bate. He gets into the hole. Zay now, this is the run after catch. This is a big play down the football field, one, but number two, now it's the run after catch. It's to make the guys miss. Of course, you're going to need another one of your teammates to help you out. Go ahead, keep on running this one here. And you can see where Bateman comes back, kind of gets in the way of guys. But look at that acceleration. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 6 defenders that he's accelerating past. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the part of it, right? And you're right. I'm glad you mentioned Bateman just doing some little things well right there. The block that kind of springs it, but then for Zay making a play happen. And everyone saw how shifty he was and had those flashes and moments last year. I mean, even the AFC Championship game last year, we know, unfortunately, the one moment fumble at the goal line, but he had big play after big play down the stretch as the Ravens were trying to come back. The dude's electric. And I think the evolution of these players, Lamar is fantastic. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You could argue he's at the top of what he's doing right now. But these young receivers, Q, continue to answer the bell. And if they continue to progress like this, we might be seeing a lot more years like Lamar is having in 2024 and beyond for the Baltimore Ravens.
That's good players. You draft guys that quote unquote play like a Raven. Those are things that aren't just cliche. Those are things that you want to bring aboard your team to make you better. And I think Zay Flowers, obviously we saw that with Rashad Bateman and some of the things he did to even help out Zay. This goes to show you the selflessness of that receiving core. But again, Zay Flowers, man, now see, and this is something else too. It takes the pressure off of that whole idea of every time there's some free agent guy coming out there on the market, oh my God, we got to get him. Well, you got your own homegrown talent, and Zay Flowers is that homegrown talent. He's had a phenomenal year. We saw his ability to run routes. We saw his ability to run after catch. We saw his ability in the red zone to find open space. You see how he has a good, strong catch radius. That's Zay Flowers. That's why he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and you know what? It's fantastic to see. I'm glad he's getting recognition. But Brad, you talked about it earlier. Yeah. There's another Baltimore Raven that got some recognition. And Brad, you want to ask Q about that?
Yeah, I was just, I think a lot of criticism has fallen on Faalele this season, especially from fans. And then he gets the Pro Bowl nod, right? So I think if you're the average fan that's kind of, I don't know, been that armchair quarterback, what have you. If you could kind of just touch a little bit on what you've seen from Faalele and why you think he deserves to be a Pro Bowler this year.
Yeah, it's interesting with Daniel Faalele. The biggest thing that I look at, Brad, it's his uncanny ability to block out the noise of all the stressors around him. It goes to speak to the way in which his offensive line coach, name slips my mind right now, but that's okay. The way he's been developing him, I think the work still needs to be done. This, he's a first alternate, which is, it speaks volumes. So, let's not get it twisted. The fact that he was even mentioned is great. But there's still work for him to do. I think there's progress. But oh my gosh, I mean, you want to commend the way in which he's grown this year, because it started off, it was ugly. And, I think for what Derrick Henry has done as a runner, the way they have gelled as an offensive line, it is something where a guy like a Daniel Faalele, good for him that he was recognized by his peers.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. I'm just happy. And I'm glad you brought that up, Brad. I'm glad you mentioned it, Q. Does every player, including Faalele, does he have to improve on things? Of course. It's a league where you're going to have to continue to evolve and step up your game, because if not, well, then your ass is going to be either benched or you're going to be out of the league. You got to continue to improve. But I'll tell you what, all the criticism that he and the offensive line had from the beginning of the season to now, it's really great to have recognition for that, Q. So we're excited. We're happy. And before we're wrapping up here, you know what? I got to ask you now, because new report just came out. Zach, I don't know if you saw this. New quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi.
And
why do they do this?
Bailey Zappi is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And what is lying in between the Ravens winning the division is now their fourth quarterback starting for Cleveland this season.
As if the Steelers didn't need to hate the Browns anymore.
But is Bailey going to get DTR?
Yeah, DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. It's interesting. You get these behind-the-scene looks with the guys with Hard Knocks and all that in different teams. And, you obviously, Russell Wilson has been around, strong veteran presence. You can see how he methodically goes through his processes and all that. But then with DTR, it was like, man, this guy, he has a lot to learn. I hope he can put himself in good position. And you also saw where, Jameis Winston, like Jameis, I think, really he is as aggressive as he makes mistakes. At the same time, you could see how he was trying to help DTR. But when those lights come on, it just something happens, something flips, something changes, and you just see sloppy play. And I think for Kevin Stefanski, like, his butt's on the line, and he's like, man, if I'm going down my way. Let's bring in somebody else. I think that's why they got Bailey Zappi to come in there, and I don't see anything other than these guys meaning the Ravens, just be unrelenting in their pressure on Bailey Zappi. He's going to be smart enough to get rid of the ball at times, but at the same time, with 1 week and what the Ravens do, it'll be interesting to see how Bailey Zappi manages just such the short week.
We just saw Drew Lock have a legacy game for the Giants. We don't need to have a Bailey Zappi legacy game against the Baltimore Ravens. If that happens, I don't know if I even wanted to hop on the internet, do the show, because that will be terrible. But I have faith. I think the Ravens are going to be buzzing, Q. I think it's all going to turn out fine and well, and then we'll be back on next week to preview who the Ravens are going to face and what the obstacles are going to look like. So that's the hope here. We'll keep our fingers crossed, but we feel pretty confident. But Q, before we let you go, let us know where they can find all of your activities from broadcasting for this week on Saturday for you, as well as where they can find you for missile training.
Yeah, you can go to missiletraining.com. That's missiletraining.com to interact with me from a human movement and sports performance aspect of things. Just started up my new year with some team training. Had a group of, 12U, 13U soccer girls. I have my baseball teams coming up in through here as well. I got my college athletes rolling through, but then I have my core of adults that they get it done. They come in and they recognize they want to move better, move pain-free. Missiletraining.com is where you can interact with me and come in and get all your human movement and sports performance needs met. At the same time, WJZ, you're going to see me on Purple Playbook, Purple Pregame. We even have some Purple Postgame shows or on WJZ CBS News as we go into the sports and break down all of Raven content. You can see me there as well. WJZ, Purple Pregame, and also Purple Playbook.
And that's why people love you, Q. You know your shit, man, and you're real with the people. And obviously, despite what you've heard from the eating habits of some of our group here, we trust, specifically you, Brad. But hey, but you're one of the best in the biz for a reason, Q, and we appreciate you. Hey, be good, be safe, and we'll talk on Monday.
Sounds like a plan. See you on Monday.
All right, Q. Appreciate
Thanks, Q.
you.
Appreciate you.
I love the fact, hey, no judgment at all. But you want to put some bad things in your body? Hey, that's on you. But what I love with Q is the realness of understanding, especially talking about Zay there. I love the fact of saying everyone's known how people view Baltimore wide receivers as far as being drafted here.
Yeah, that's not a secret.
And to see that, and also, it's just great to see other guys continue to develop and blossom. So I'm excited. But for everyone, you don't want them playing in the Pro Bowl. You want them playing the Super Bowl. One thing we are disappointed with the Pro Bowl is that the long snapper for the Baltimore Ravens, Nick Moore, was not one of those selected to the Pro Bowl. I think we failed. We as a group failed Nick Moore. And I'm sorry. We'll take blame. We got to do better next time.
I voted.
Hey, I know. But our campaigns just got to be twice as loud next year.
Yep.
Twice as loud.
He still has a shot at getting in, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah,
because,
I'm just saying, like he still had. He was in consideration, I guess.
Yeah. If only
it wasn't like he was blown out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's okay. He's a good kid. I think he is either finishing up practices. He might be an alternate, but I mean, it's not alternative, whatever the case may be. But you know what? To Nick, if you're not starting in it, doesn't count in his book.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you're not an all-pro, it doesn't count in his book.
That's fair.
I
respect that.
I respect it. But hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. It's Ryan Ripken Show. We do it live every Monday, Thursday when the Ravens are playing. So Saturday we'll be live before. It is Thursday, to clarify. It is Thursday today. And some people could consider it, just like Charles, it could be Tequila Thursday. It might be Tequila Thursday for us after this.
It might be, yeah.
It might be.
Well,
for me, it might be. And if not, you might just crack open some of this Deep Eddy. That's something you've been known for.
Yeah. I do love me some Deep Eddy. That's for sure. Shout out Deep Eddy.
Shout out Deep Eddy. Kelly's been dying to come in to make some cocktails.
I don't know why she does.
I told her, hey, you want to come in here? I won't try. I'll let you be you. I'm a little bit afraid of what she'd say about me.
Literally
for
has
the people.
Keys to the place.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally does. But we will discuss a lot more of that moving forward. But we appreciate all of you guys. A couple more football notes, and then we'll talk a little bit of baseball. First off, Zach, did I just see that a certain Alabama quarterback?
Yeah, that's what I'm actually looking at right now.
So what happened here?
Yeah, Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama, just declared for the 2025 NFL draft, which is very interesting. We actually talked to
wasted no time.
Yeah, we talked to Matt Miller about this a few months ago, and he actually referred to Milroe as his most intriguing quarterback prospect just because I think he's 6'3", 225. He runs a 4.4. Accuracy is kind of his
wildly inconsistent.
Yeah. So he was a project. Matt even mentioned maybe he's a guy that would benefit from going another year at Alabama. I wonder if this is something where it's been a disappointing year at Alabama if he just doesn't want to continue there. But
this might be the worst QB draft class
it's
we've
going to
seen
be
in a minute.
Yeah, it's
What
going to be.
was the
interesting.
1 year? The Kenny Pickett draft class.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's going to be better than. I hope it's better than that.
Well,
draft
that was
class.
only Kenny Pickett taken in the first round, and
First
then
2 rounds.
Malik Willis was
went
taken in the third.
Malik they thought was going to go first. There was
Mhm.
rumors he was going to go top 4.
He should have gone first. Honestly, I think Malik has the talent to be a starter in this league. He just plays for the Packers.
But also,
Yeah.
but you need to be developed, and you need to be able
I
to
agree.
grow.
the Titans
and
weren't
I
gonna
agree.
do that.
I agree.
Titans
But
were not that.
I
Well, they
just-
did have Ryan Tannehill, who you know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, he was the Titans' offense.
He was for sure.
Am I right, Zach?
Mhm, yeah.
Hey, but here's the thing for Jalen Milroe, and that was the part of it in the big games when they beat. Trying to look at it right here. Here we go. When they played Georgia early on, it's the best game of the year where you thought, okay, maybe he's turned the corner, 27-33, 374 through the air and 2 touchdowns. But then against other opponents where it really stands out, Oklahoma, when they lost by 21, he was 11 for 26 for 164 against Michigan, 16
and 3
for 32.
interceptions. Remember, he threw 3 interceptions against Oklahoma.
Even the LSU victory, they won 42-13. He was 12 of 18 for 109 yards.
All right. Also rushed for 185 and 4 touchdowns.
Right. So the thing,
Dual threat.
So the dual threat part of it, he is unbelievable when he gets out into the open space and he gets through. But the thing that Matt Miller, when he came on and talked to us about was the passing game going to be elevated for him? And that's what's going to hurt. I'll tell you what, it didn't help the draft stock with what happened to Michigan.
No,
That did not help.
That's why I'm very kind of confused why this is. Good for him. Good for him. You know, I hope he does well. I'm very intrigued by him. I thought if he went back to Alabama for a year, he had a chance because there's no way he goes first round. I don't
think he goes first round either. I
just
would be shocked.
Yeah, I
went
just
first
don't.
round.
I feel like if he went back to Alabama, they have a really good year. He develops as a passer.
Yeah.
And also, it's not like the NFL. It's not even 5 years ago where it's like, well, you got to go make the money there. Starting quarterback Alabama, you're telling me he's not making good money? You know, he could hit the transfer portal. He goes to some Big 12 school and they'd give him $8 million. You know,
He had, so on the year, 16 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions.
Where's all this NIL money coming from anyway?
Very rich people.
Very, very rich people from those donors from those universities.
Ohio State's team is worth $20 million.
And they look like a $20 million team.
That's what I think
now.
is so funny is
Now
everyone
they do.
after Ohio State started, I think they went up when they went up, I think 21-0 or something. Someone tweeted out and was like, super impressed by the $20 million squad from OSU finally playing like a $20 million squad.
Yeah.
Because you should win with the amount of
Everything.
It's going to be, man, it really has turned into free agency.
They really need to change a lot of things. And you see that James Franklin wants Nick Saban to be the commissioner of football.
Yeah.
If
there was one guy who would keep it in line.
Talk about a guy that really doesn't like how things are in college football. It's also like, you know, the person that's yelling from the porch, that's kind of Nick Saban right now. But if there's anyone that can talk about it, it's that guy that won all those damn championships. We could talk about it.
I would be
forever.
very interested to see how things shape up with Bill Belichick because I feel like, I mean, you know, Saban was part of the Belichick tree, if you want to call it that, back in with the Brownies. But I be curious because Belichick is kind of comes from that old school state of mind. So just, you know, with college football being so much different than it used to be, would be interested to see how the Tar Heels look this year and how he handles that as far as the NIL is concerned.
I still trying to figure out that Bill Belichick has an Instagram. Has he had it the entire time? I don't know. But he does now. He's got 442,000 followers.
Yeah, remember it was a big thing on McAfee show.
Yeah,
they announced he was finally coming over to Instagram.
That's wild. Good for Bill.
Good
for Bill.
How many people does he follow? Like 10?
That's a great question.
Probably
22. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Zach, who sings it?
Taylor Swift.
There we go. Hey, we got one more football note to talk about, and then we're going to dive into the baseball conversation because I know a lot of people have been wondering, and that's started to heat up here, especially for people that have been asking us more and more about what the heck's going on in Baltimore. We'll get to that in just a second, but let's talk about one more thing here in the NFL. And as we do, let's take a ride up to Philadelphia in our Adams Jeep of Maryland here Adams Jeep, riding nice and easy. Man, it's nice and easy. Relax. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
New year, new you. And if you want a new car or used, go check out our friends up at Adams Jeep of Maryland. It's 5 minutes from the Ironbird Stadium. And Zach, how confident am I going to pull this up in 5 seconds?
Not confident.
It's happening right now. 3, 2, 1, Houdini. Almost 8 seconds. But Adams Jeep of Maryland, if you are in the market for a new or used car, go check out our friends Adams Jeep of Maryland. They also have Adams Extreme Motorsports, which essentially means you want anything customized on your vehicle, you can have it done there. They are the go-to people for all cars. It doesn't have to just be an Adams Jeep. But if you go up there and you do buy a used or a new car and you use the phrase, hey, I love the Ryan Ripken show, or Rocco sucks, they'll give you a $1,000 gas card with the purchase of the vehicle. Go check out the website, adamsjeepofmaryland.com, to check what is in your price range and go find the vehicle of your dreams. And also, go roast Rocco for us. We never get enough of that. But guys, going up to Philly here, the conversation is around one specific player. And now the Eagles have it wrapped up. They're going to be the number 2 seed. But Saquon Barkley has the opportunity to break a record that has stood for 40 years. Eric Dickerson's rushing record for a single season is within reach. But the reports are coming out that Saquon Barkley is not going to play in the finale. And actually, we'll start. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's got 101 yards to go and is facing a team in which he ran, I think, 160 yards on. First time he played him against the Giants.
And he sat and he had a choice to go for his personal record.
Yeah.
And he chose to sit out the rest of that game because he just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I proved my point.
Yep.
But let's hear from Saquon because he talked to Nick Sirianni and then he talked to the media. So we'll play that video first here and then we'll react on the other side.
Asked me, you know, what I like to do. We had a conversation, and he called me back, let me know that we're probably going to be resting. And my reaction was kind of like I told my family. Obviously, my family, probably wanted a little bit more than me. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is winning football games and winning the playoffs. So I got a bigger goal in mind anyway.
What was your message to Nick when he did it?
I mean, he asked me if I wanted to play, if I want to go for it. I said on Sunday, I probably didn't care too much for it. When I slept on it, it was like it was an opportunity to implant my name in football history. May never get another opportunity like that again. So I'm down, but at the end of the day, I don't care for putting the team at risk. He's the head coach for a reason. He makes those decisions, and whatever decision he wanted to make, I let him know if you want me to play, I'm going to go out there and make sure I get it. And if we don't, I'm okay with that too.
So you could hear in his words, even though Saquon team dude, and also why wouldn't you want him on your team? Giants, I would have paid the man. Would he have had the same numbers? Probably not. But would I have paid a guy that cares that much about the team and going out there and is going to represent your team in the right ways? Yes, I digress. But you can sense, guys, is it fair to say?
Yeah.
Saquon saying, hey, I'm all about the team, but he mentioned, I might not get this chance again.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like it's a dude that wants to go after the record, but will not put his offensive lineman, won't put his other teammates in a bad position. And I get it, right? That's where embrace the argument and embrace the debate. And maybe do we play the other clip from Dan Orlovsky? And then Zach, I know you got some thoughts on all this, but Dan, he made it very clear, if you're making this decision, there's only one thing that's going to justify this, and that is you better win the whole damn thing. Let's play that clip.
Always rests his guys when they have everything locked up. All that is well and good, but they don't always have a record of this magnitude that also hangs in the balance. What's your reaction to the decision?
Better go win the whole thing then. I get it. Football-wise, I get it. The fan in me is bummed about it because he's so close. And I understand the most important thing is going to win the Super Bowl. Better go get it because you don't want to go for 2 for him. You don't want to pass on, having his name and your team and your name and your franchise attached to that record and then not also win the Super Bowl. So if you're Philly and Nick Sirianni, I 1,000% understand the football element of it. Go win the Super Bowl.
So right there, football-wise, Nick Sirianni as a coach, it's the right move for the Eagles. Their offense is significantly different without Saquon Barkley. But, Zach, we kind of talked about this. It's a unique situation.
Yeah, it's a unique situation, and I'm a decision I'm glad I'm not the one making. But I feel for Saquon because he's talked about, and I agree with Dan. I think from a football aspect, from what's best for the team, you sit Saquon. It's an easy decision. But when you take into account, like Saquon said, you never know. He's probably not going to have this opportunity again. This is 101 yards against the team that let you walk to set the all-time rushing record, a record that, like you said, has been 40 years. This isn't, this is a record that was broken a few years ago. You'll probably have another chance next year. Okay, let's focus on this. This may be the shot at the record. Like, this may be the shot at the record. The way that the league is going, passing, all this, that maybe this is it. This could be the last time we have someone come this close. So
it's not.
I agree with Dan. I think as a fan, you've got to be bummed out because this is the guy that everyone was kind of focused on is, hey, he's chasing down the record. Does he get it? And for him to be that close, to be against the Giants, his former team, the storyline just seemed perfect. And, I understand the business decision behind it, but, that's an opportunity to put Saquon, put the Eagles, the offensive line, it's just as much their or record as anyone else. I think deep down they'll tell you that they wish they were doing it.
And I understand the sentiment, Zach. I would make the argument, though, that this record will be broken. It'll be broken because of the 17-game schedule. Of the top 10 rushing seasons, if they all had a 17th week, they probably would have broke Eric Dickerson's record. You look at Adrian Peterson in 2012. If he had another game, he would have smashed that record, and it wouldn't have even been close. He would have made it unreachable. Jamal Lewis with 2,066 yards in 2003. If he had another game,
2012 and 2003. That's twice in the past 21 years.
Then you have Derrick Henry in 2020 with 2,027 yards. If he had an extra week, he would have crushed Eric Dickerson's record. So my point is that while it is significant, I think it will happen, and it could happen again by Saquon Barkley. My other thing is that for Nick Sirianni, it's lose-lose.
Yeah,
If Saquon Barkley gets injured, he's probably losing his job because they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not even going to probably sniff it without Saquon Barkley. So, but at the same time, you kind of feel like you're letting down Saquon Barkley for at least not trying to attempt it. I understand it. If I was a coach, if I was Nick Sirianni, I'm sitting him as well, just because the risk is too great.
It's too great. You're right. And it's players, true competitors. You want to be a champion. Everybody there, when they sit at the end of the day, and you can see why players nowadays at the end of their careers and they haven't had a chance, they go, man, I want that ring. But only a few select are going to have the opportunity that Saquon has where you can etch your name in the record books. Now, the other conversation with this is the 16 and 17 game regular season where you're going to say, hey, and I have no problem with saying, hey, the record's broken, but saying, hey, done in a 17 game span because Eric Dickerson's record would have been even longer.
Yeah.
And I know people are trying to make the argument now of, well, Saquon has less carries than Dickerson had that year, which is true, but that's not how this works.
No.
You could say that people sit out. The reality is Saquon's going to have an extra game if he were to play to break a record that Eric Dickerson did in just 16. But to your point, Brad, I don't think it's going to be the last time that we're going to see this. What actually shocking to me of everything, especially this year when you look at it, no 5,000-yard passer, by the way, with situations we're talking about records. It's the rushing record that's getting closer to, but not the passing record.
Yeah.
So I just throwing that out there with the extra week. Right now, Joe Burrow's the only one closest to the 5,000 yards.
Yeah, I think he's at 4,900.
Yeah, he's at 4,600.
4,600, and he leads the league.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think right now, even though we consider the league a passing league, still the records aren't being broken as we had saw with some of the greats like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, who had 5,000-yard seasons or whatever in 9 years or whatever the heck it was. So
insane.
Unbelievable. Now, granted, they were playing from behind a lot, but that's just how it works. So we could talk about that for whatever it may be. But for the Eagles and your Eagles fans, if you want to win a Super Bowl, your best chance is having number 26 in the backfield to help you try to go that way because that NFC is going to be woof.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. Lions, Vikings, Packers,
Yeah.
Bucks right now. Like that's a tough path for whatever's going to be. So we'll see what happens.
I think the NFC is going to be the toughest path to the Super Bowl than AFC right now. That's what it looks like to me anyway. I mean, I would imagine you got 3 teams from the AFC that are most likely to make the Super Bowl, and that's the Ravens, Bills, and KC. In the NFC, I think it's just wide open. You really don't know who's going to show up and absolutely dominate. I mean, I think of the top teams, the top seeded teams in the NFC that have the greatest risk of either being one and done or not making the Super Bowl, unfortunately, is the Lions, because that defense has just been so decimated by injury. Yeah. They continue to win games, but I don't know how they win against. It's going to be an absolute shootout against the Vikings if it comes to that, what have you. Like, it's going to be something.
The Lions have culture. Like, hey, you know what? 49ers, you beat us last year. This game means nothing to us this year.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Yeah.
We're going for it, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings are going to be a tough one. The only reason, and I can see Charles saying LOL Bucks. Guys, I'm not saying that the Bucks are the team that's going to go far, but who did the Lions lose to this year?
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's about matchups. That's really what it is. Like, the Packers don't really match up as well with the Vikings and the Lions. Could the Lions and Packers, they played again, and the Packers could have won that? It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
But the Packers match up well with almost every other team.
Yeah.
So that's where I take it with the Bucks match up well with the Lions. It's all about matches. The AFC, I'm with you, Brad. I think that the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs are so far ahead of the other teams.
Yeah.
I think it's a 3-team race, but in the NFC, it could be very well a 5-team race. So we'll see. But hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show do this live every Monday, Thursday, when the Ravens play, which is on Saturday. And then we'll get ready for next week, which hopefully the Ravens will be hosting in Baltimore for their first wild card playoff game. We'll find that out so long as the Ravens take care of the Cleveland Brown, led by Bailey Zappi, who is the quarterback this week, versus the Baltimore Ravens. Guys, I think we got to switch it on over. We have no polls today, right? We're just kind of chilling out. We're hanging out. Today. No polls today. Hey, as we break into then our baseball conversations, why don't we take a little trip down Zach's browsing history? Zach, what did you find on the internet today?
Hard Knocks gave us an incredible, I guess, at the end of the day, it's one of those moments where it's just relatable to everyone because, yes, John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning coach. Yes, he is obviously one of the only 32 NFL head coaches. So you feel like, okay, he's always got to be locked in. At the end of the day, he's still a dad. And when it comes to airports, dads always want to be on time for airports. And we saw that Hard Knocks after the Texans game. And this is just incredible.
All right, we have some presents for you guys.
Where's Lamar? Where's Lamar? Red Velvet. If we don't get on the plane like in 40 minutes, we're here till 5 in the morning. Does everybody understand that? Where's Lamar? Get a knee. Get a knee. How about we go? Who's got it better than us? Let's go. All right, to the plane. To the plane.
I love we're here till 5 a.m. Does everyone understand that? He's like giving the, hey guys, we need to be home, and I like the quick, who's got better than us? Okay, everyone on the plane. Everyone on the plane.
Get on that freaking plane. We're getting out of here. Oh, do you guys want to get home at 5 a.m.?
Yeah. I love them sitting there. Where's Lamar? It literally felt like Home Alone, like Kevin? Like, where's Kevin?
Yeah.
Like, where's Lamar? Like, did we get Lamar? And then okay, everyone on the plane. Everyone on the plane.
It truly felt like that is a dad moment right there.
Yeah.
Let's go. And you know what? It's not where he's losing his cool. He's not upset. It's just, where is he?
Yeah.
We got to go.
I love if we're not on the plane in 40 minutes, we're here till 5 a.m. Does everyone understand that?
Yeah.
He's setting the precedent of, hey, guys, I'm not trying to be here on Christmas any longer.
Yeah, and you know what? And they just won the game by 29. You would think that, hey, everything's good. Hey,
we got to get out of here.
Get your ass on that plane.
That clock hit 0 and he went full dad mode. He was like, what time is it? I would not be surprised if the Ravens at the end of the game were running it more than they'd usually do it because John was calm monking and was like, hey, we need this clock going fast. Like, we got to be on a plane in an hour and 20 minutes. So I think it was just beautiful. One of those beautiful moments that Hard Knocks captures where you're like, oh, at the end of the day, he is just a dad.
Just a dad.
Yeah.
Good kid. Good kid. But you know what? The Ravens, they got their eyes set. Hopefully they're not traveling for the next week. Hopefully they'll be in Baltimore for the next 2 weeks, as they would have a home playoff game. And then, we never know what can happen after that. As we know, the Ravens are going to play the Chargers or the Steelers. That is a guarantee. And the 7th seed, if the Broncos win, they get it. If they lose, then the Dolphins have a chance to get it. And then the Dolphins lose and the Broncos lose and the Bengals win, then the Bengals get it. So you're telling me there's a chance in Cincy? There is, but they are holding on for dear life.
Even if they win, they have a 10% chance of making the playoffs.
They need a lot of things to go their way. A lot of things. And we know everyone, the NFL would love to see Burrow versus Josh Allen. You know who wouldn't want to see Burrow is the Bills.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs as well. But they'd have to play Buffalo first.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens. But Ravens, you're going to have Pittsburgh or LA here hopefully next week, so long as you win the game. But
so long as LA wins the game too. If LA loses and the Broncos win, which they should win this game against the Chiefs with everybody sitting, the Broncos will be in.
No, yeah. Well, why would the Broncos?
Don't they have the tiebreaker?
No, Chargers beat them twice.
Never mind.
So it's
LA. I don't know why it's so. I'm literally on the NFL Network's playoff picture. It says if the Broncos win, they have 99% chance of making playoffs.
Yeah, no. If Broncos win, they're in.
Yeah, Broncos win, they're in. It's that simple. They win, they're in.
Oh, okay.
So they're just saying factors of how it all is.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got you. This is the part of the season always jacks me up.
This is the worst part of the season. This is the worst part of the season.
The last week there isn't a lot to really kind of go off of.
Well, it's that unfortunate you watch games and then some teams because it's all obviously philosophy stuff. So Dan Campbell this past week was like, I don't care that we have nothing to play for. We're playing the full 60 minutes.
And I freaking love it.
And then you have other guys like Sirianni and them who are like, hell, we're going for the freaking Super Bowl. This. And then you have some teams that do that. Josh Allen is starting this week, but he's not going to play the whole game because he wants to keep his consecutive start streak.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's 114 rookie numbers. Yeah.
Get those
got
numbers
a ways
up.
to go to get to far.
Got a little ways to go there, Joshy. But it's so Josh Allen's going to technically start, but I don't think he's going. I think he's legitimately going to take the first few snaps,
play the drive.
Yeah. So every team does it differently. It's just one of those. I'm just going to say, as a gambler, it's very frustrating because I don't know who's going to do what. I can only bet on games I feel that have meaning.
So the only truly meaning Vikings Lions.
Yeah, that's the game that you can, and the rest of them you're just hoping that guys don't get randomly pulled.
That game might be first to 35.
Buccaneers game is going to be great because Mike Evans needs 85 yards.
Oh, hammer!
And did you hear Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield was like, "Oh, if we win the game, Mike's going to be having that."
They're also winning in, right?
The Bucs are winning in, and Mike Evans would extend his own record of 11 straight years.
He's never
of
had
1,000 yards or more.
Never had below 1,000 yards.
And he missed 3-4 games already with that hammy, which he hurt against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Buccaneers went on a losing streak, didn't have Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and now they are 1 win away from going to the postseason.
He also gets some sort of big ass bonus for that 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, incentives. The incentives are in there.
That is my favorite thing of week 18 is the incentives.
Geno Smith, 185 yards, gets him $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know
you got to hammer the over on that, right?
They're throwing 60 times. They also have banged up running backs. Kenneth Walker out.
Yeah, but what's the line on Geno Smith over 185 yards?
Well, you know what? That's a great question, and I don't know if it's up yet. But while we're checking it, it's a good time, Brad, to take a chance up to Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. You really can hit the high note pretty well.
I'm not bad.
You're not bad. But our friends at Hollywood Casino up at Charlestown Races in West Virginia, hour from Owens Mills, hour and 15 from Baltimore, even only about an hour and a half from D.C., that's our go-to spot. And hey, this 2025 year, they are welcoming in ESPN Bet into their sports book. So go check out their grand opening, which I think is going to happen at the end of this month. We're going to figure out what we're doing for that time, fellas. But a great time for Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. They have a ton of events. We spent a good amount of time through the good and the bad, watched a lot of games up there, but it is a great time. And honestly, too, they were voted one of the best places to work and enjoy a game. So go check out our friends Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Beautiful. Beautiful. Good kid. I don't know if they have the line exactly up for Gino as I continued to look. It might have gotten taken down.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is right now, sports books are offering very little player props.
Yes, because of that.
Because so many people are looking at Vegas doesn't know who's playing, and they don't want a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think are going to be playing the sharp part, and they're going to be taking a lot of unders.
I'll be watching,
hoping that people get pulled early.
Yeah, well,
if Josh Allen's technically, if he is like, yeah, I'm only playing a snap or two, and the sports books put up a normal line for Josh Allen, that's why I think sports books are going to be. It's going to be very limited.
They're nervous, but ones that Mike Evans and the Bucks have to win.
Yep.
Brock Bowers is 9 catches away from breaking the tight end catch record, not for rookies,
for
tight ends.
Yeah, that's insane.
I don't think I saw. Little, I guess, side rant. Will Warren, tight end for Penn State, incredible.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yes, I've seen some comparisons between Warren and Brock Bowers. I don't think people understand how good Brock Bowers is, especially in Georgia. The example I saw was he literally is a tight end and he takes slants like we've seen Rashad Bateman, Odell made fit. Like he just will take a slant to the house. Like he does not. He's
built different.
Please get a quarterback in Las Vegas because I also have him in my dynasty league and would like for that to be a weapon for the future.
Or keep Aiden O'Connell. That will just pepper him all the time. Stay at 4-12, 5-12. But anyway, let's get into baseball here, guys, because we know Georgia, Notre Dame's kicking off and people want to watch that. We get it. Let's talk about a little bit of baseball. So I think the first thing is, as our community is most concerned with, is with the Baltimore Orioles. Fair to say? Sí. That's good Spanish. That is yes in Espanol, in Spanish. A lot of things have worked around here. The one that we've talked the most about has been Corbin Burns. And actually, we know Corbin to Arizona, but MLB Network just recently they talked about it. The question of what do the Orioles do with the departure of Corbin Burns? So let's play that clip for you guys, and then we'll talk about a couple of the options and one specific that I think people want to hear more about.
Point as far as the Orioles now, because I think that was one of the first reactions that I had is that, here we go with the Orioles, this young core, this nucleus, and they're building something sustainably great for a long time. They lost their big toe, and I don't know if there's another Sergeant Hulka out there in the free agent market that can fill the spot of a Corbin Burns detraction. So here you go. You got Zach Eflin at the top of the rotation. He's great. Veteran arm. Grayson Rodriguez, young stud, all kinds of promise. And then, you get into guys that'll be kind of jockeying for position in the rotation. And it's not a knock to say they could still use a premier arm. Bradish and Wells are coming off of surgery. Who's out there? Who's out there that's on the scale of a Snell, a Fried, a Burns? The premier guys are gone out of this market. Yeah. Nick Pavetta's out there. But, on the beginning of the free agent offseason, right, the beginning of the hot stove season, these were the names we were talking about being out there. All right, let's go through it. Burns, signed. Snell, signed. Fried, signed. Sasaki will know in a couple of weeks. Evaldi goes back to the previous place of employment. So does Bieber. Manaea signed. Walker Buehler's in Boston. That's what's left.
Yeah. Sasaki's going to be interesting. I know we're going to talk about that, but this kid has got unbelievable stuff. Yeah, Flaherty, does he go back there, which it wasn't great? I know the Tigers was certainly better and then ended up with the Dodgers. But
so you're hearing it, and that's been kind of the conversation that's been happening over the last couple weeks, or say the whole offseason now, is, well, what are the Orioles going to do now with the options that are left? And the main one is same with Jack Flaherty. I think Roki Sasaki right now, from what we've seen, there are a list of teams, not that there couldn't be other teams, but the Orioles are not on that list of teams for him. But then there's Jack Flaherty, where I know a lot of people, there's this perception, and I did just see Rich Dubroff talked about it on Foul Territory today, saying it was not a good time for Jack being in Baltimore, unlikely to sign. Now, I think this perception overall with Jack is everyone's looking at what the results happened, and they didn't like his quote unquote demeanor on the mound. Is that fair to say, Brad? Like that's where the conversations kind of went to. It was Jack didn't perform to his standard and they felt like he wasn't a fit. That's kind of what fans were saying back in 2023.
Yeah, you can make the argument though that Jack Flaherty wasn't 100% healthy.
I 1,000%. And this is why we're trying to debunk the perception here.
Yeah. And my other counter argument about this Corbin Burnes, obviously, he was a huge part of the Orioles' success last year, but people kind of forget in that 2023 with a Jack Flaherty that the O's won 101 games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it can't be done. And I know that that fans want to see some sort of major signing. And I don't necessarily disagree that there needs to be some improvement, because if I look at the Orioles roster right now, I don't know if I can say, yes, this team has improved in the offseason. And in fact, you can make some arguments that they kind of have gotten worse. But the core of this roster is still there. The core that got them those 101 wins in 23. I don't think that you have to go overpay for somebody that may or may not work out in your ball club.
Yeah. And I think that this is where the conversation is going to go, is that, do you want to trade assets to go and get somebody? Yeah. Right. And I think, again, it should be a team control guy,
which I think still happens.
And I do think a trade is going to happen. I'm with you. I think a trade is going to happen, but it's a 1-year rental where people are going to have to deal with that, of the opportunity that Cease or somebody else does not resign, just like Corbin Burnes, or you go after a team control guy and they stay for longer because they have to. And then the other part of it is, well, could Jack be a fit again? And I think the perception that players hated Jack, I don't think that that's fair.
No,
because talking to guys, I never heard anyone go, yeah, I hate that dude. Oh, he was terrible. I never heard any of that. It was a time where he was dealing with some things himself. He was frustrated and he was injured. So I think the perception for Jack, I think, is unwarranted. But then, does it make sense for the reunion? Does Jack really want to come back? Do the Orioles really want him? We don't really fully know, but does it make sense? Absolutely. And is this stuff really good when he's healthy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in his prime technically. So a guy that can be an upgrade and you could sign for 3 years, he could be very successful. And actually, I'm going to pull up, this is a breakdown that I did last trade deadline. And I want to talk about it here because I think this is a good talking point of the differences Flaherty made from the 23 season to last year when he was pitching in Detroit and going to the Dodgers, and why so many teams were seeking him out. So I'm going to go to that. So that was when I initially made that. But this is one thing I wanted to touch on here, is you could look at his 2023 and 2024. The biggest thing for me was how much the change for him in his slider. And so specifically, you saw more, okay, you have the slider usage there, but it was to left-handed hitters where things were kind of changing. How many times he was throwing the curveball more to right-handers when you look at he was so slider dominant. And then now, okay, let me back up. I got my things mixed up because I made this and I heard my voice in the background. So actually, hear my annoying voice and then I'll explain what I said.
Pitch has been his out pitch.
God, I sound terrible.
24 and beyond. So if you want to look at the last 2 seasons, look, the knuckle curve, it's a curveball, but that pitch has been his out pitch. That's been his best pitch. So what he did in 2024, he eliminated that cutter in 2023. And now you're seeing him try to even out throwing sliders to lefties and that curveball to righties. And yeah, his fastball command has been really good this year. But let's look at.
So the point that I was trying to go at, that the cutter and slider was not a good mixture for Jack. So you guys understand that though? Try to explain that for a quick second. So cutter to me can almost be identified as a slider for how much it moves. So if a slider is going to go across here and you throw a cutter and they're kind of a similar miles per hour, depending on how much that breaks is going to dictate on what it is. But both a cutter and a slider, if it's not moving, it's looked at as being like a mediocre fastball. So a lot of these early on that you're going to see is he's going to leave it right over the middle of the plate. That's a 90-mile-an-hour cutter. You can say, all right, he has a slider later on that's going to show here. If it doesn't move very much, like this is a slider, That's a really good pitch to hit, right? Really good pitch. And it got launched. And the biggest thing that changed for Jack Flaherty was, as we move forward into this, is that he took this out. Here's another slider there. 85, guys, that didn't move, right? It's right down the middle. People call that a hanger. And when pitches like that stay, hitters are going to have a field day. But for Jack, adding in other pitches is where he had success. And then this is the bad ones. Again, slider. Zach, did that ball move too much?
No.
So we'll show it again. So this is what I was talking about with lefties and throwing that slider in the cutter. They're too similar, and if they don't break, it's a really good pitch to hit, specifically for lefties. Okay, so we're seeing that. Bada bing, bada bang. And one more time for the one time. Slider, right in the middle of the plate. His out pitch is his curveball. That was the emphasis that I wanted to show here. His curveball is a dominant pitch. And now we're going to see him throw that a little bit more. So here's the sight line for it. So right there, you feel like that's going to be a strike. You feel like he got a swing. And then right underneath. Great. Same thing. Look at the sight line. That's where he needs to throw his slider if he's going to throw it to lefties. Okay? If he doesn't do that, it's a hard pitch to be effective. This is where, here's Paul Goldschmidt, just signed with the Yankees. If you are going to put away hitters, you need to keep it below that line. Load back up. Come on. Dang it. Here we go. Nope, that's going shelled. We just saw the whole barrage. Go back to it. Come on. Come on. Fair ball. Everything you for a slider below that, just for how his slider works, how it moves. It's not this nasty pitch. You're going to see his curveball in the next set here after this of how good it is. So that's a slider again. Now, this is where we're going to see the loop in the curveball. And this is why it makes a difference. Come on. So, right there, you see a little bit more of a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, that ball is right at that shin guard behind home plate. So Rosarina thinks that's going to have to be a strike, but because the curveball has more bite, this ball is going to finish all the way at that circle, right? And it's slower, so it pops up. Here's another example. Starts right at that X. So when you're looking at that, the sight line is that's going to be a strike. And then it's not. Sight line right there, whammy. 80 miles an hour. This is probably one of my favorite. Brent Rooker, friend of the show. I feel bad for him right here. But if you're looking at that, look at the depth of where the pitch starts and where it ends. And because the curveball was the biggest difference that I saw in him eliminating the cutter, this is what I saw with Jack Flaherty down the stretch. It was a guy that was using these pitches to his advantage. It was able then to fool the hitters where they weren't seeing it as clearly. And then that therefore could make his slider more effective. Last one with the curveball, same thing in the dirt, really good. So Jack Flaherty got rid of the cutter to be able to make his other pitches more successful. The slider then was used in other circumstances, so the slider is not very similar to a cutter. You eliminated having two pitches that are similar to one another, and you really showcased why your curveball is your out pitch. Now, the one thing that really improved for Jack, and you said this, Brad, health.
Yeah.
His health. And when he's healthy, the dude knows how to pitch. Watch him carve up. This is Duran here. Watch this fastball location here. And this is what I saw last year with Jack that he didn't do in Baltimore. That's dotted. 95 on the black. That's good. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. If he can do this with the other pitches that he has, Jack Flaherty can be a guy that can be at the top of your rotation. 97 right there, that's just naughty stuff.
Yeah.
He's got great stuff,
yeah.
Brad.
Yeah.
But
and last year he showed that.
And I think that was the point of it when you were looking at it. And look at this K percentage. This is what I wanted to go back to. That third level right there is curveballs. So he understood, okay, in 2023, the 33.6% for strikeouts, that's his curveball, that's his pitch. But he realized, like, you know what? I need to eliminate the cutter, because if I eliminate the cutter, it's going to make my slider and my curveball even that more effective. And look how much those numbers jumped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His curveball went from 33 to 45%, slider from 15 to 32 almost, and fastball up to almost 32%. So the point that I was trying to make with all of that, him eliminating one pitch created more variety with his stuff, and then he was able to trust it. And look, we're talking about a guy, I don't think for a second that these guys are sitting there going, man, I don't like Jack Flaherty. And just from what I've known, it's not that I don't think that we don't know what's going to happen here, but this notion that he was hated in Baltimore and hated by the staff here, I don't think that's fair to him. Whether or not he comes back, we'll find out, but he's a dude that can make a lot of noise here for Baltimore. So I don't know if they bring him back, Brad, but to your point, a healthy Jack Flaherty, I think people are sleeping on him.
I do too. I kind of can't believe he hasn't been signed yet.
And I think he's going to get a 3-year deal. I think he's going to get a 3 to 4 year deal.
Do you with the Orioles if you were to come here?
Yes. I think very comparable to what Evaldi or Manaea got.
Yeah.
And with that, knowing that, would you guys want him for that?
Yeah, given the way that he had played last year, yeah. Like, I mean, as long as it's not something crazy, like no $25 million for 3 years, per year, you know what I mean? Like, I would say like a $60 million deal for 3 years makes sense to me for somebody like Jack, maybe an opt-out in there. I just, because of the injury risk, I wouldn't go crazy, but he's proven that last year with the stuff that he had, that he is worth, I think, probably a $60 million deal.
I'd give him 2 years. Just because when you look through his percentages, he is either very good or very bad. I mean, whether it's health, whether it's, the changing of the pitches, it's going to be hard in his 9 starts with the Orioles, a 6.75 ERA is not like, that's what everyone's thinking about. That's what people remember about Orioles Jack Flaherty. And that's why the fan base, when they hear, hey, the Orioles are interested in Jack Flaherty, they're not thinking of Jack Flaherty from last year. They're thinking of the 6.75 ERA from 23. I would give him a 2-year deal because I think, there is risk to it. I think there is reward to it. But when you start getting in that 4-year range, I think that's a big risk with a guy like Flaherty, because even if he does return to what he was doing last year, it's, is it something where a little health setback completely ruins the contract and stuff like that? I still think the trade market, I would prefer to go there before a Flaherty. But if you get Flaherty for 2 years, I think that's a good deal. It's when you start getting above 3 that I'm like, I don't know if I'd give that to Jack Flaherty.
So I think right now he's 29 years old. And he's a pitcher early in his career when you're saying, could he do it? He had a 2.75 ERA in 2019. Then he had some injuries.
Yeah.
And then he was a guy that was an average pitcher, wasn't excellent, but wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And then it looked like he found that groove. He was a guy that was just short of 200 strikeouts last year. So a guy that has that power of stuff that can put hitters away. And if he has fixed those corrections, yeah, the Orioles should definitely be needed. Now, if it's a reunion that we see, time will tell. But Jack Flaherty is a guy that I truly do believe has the talent to whoever he goes to, he's going to make an impact for next year. You want to talk about somebody that wants to make an impact?
Give me that Eric Fetty trade, by the way. I've been thinking about that since we talked about it. I'll take the Eric Fetty trade all day.
Well, but the thing is, I wonder, St. Louis, if they go into rebuild mode.
They already are. They've publicly come out and said that that's what they're doing.
But I wonder if they wait until the season goes and they would deal Fetty during the season. That's my only thing for that.
Be a shame.
But because they acquired him at the deadline, so they would just trade him again. That's why I would think I'd be a little bit more hesitant. And look, we could talk about these conversations in the future. The Pirates have some arms, but the Pirates are in a weird situation because if I was the Pirates, I'd want to keep those arms because you do have some talent there.
You got to surround, your star with some good pitching.
You would have Keller, Jones, Skeens.
Yeah.
It's a really good 3 guys that you have that you can really build around. And obviously Paul Skeens being the prime piece there.
Right,
so
right.
We'll see about that. But for Jack Flaherty to finish that one, I know that he wants a 5-year deal. I think realistically a 3-year deal for Jack Flaherty is what teams would be willing to do. We'll see if Baltimore is. But another
Nobody's
guy,
giving him 5 years. just not happening.
We'll see what happens. But you know, that's still a guy that's on the market that maybe is a little bit shocking at this point. It's another Oriole free agent.
Tony Taters.
Tony Taters. Anthony Santander is still a free agent as we speak. And guys, I'm a little bit shocked because Teoscar Hernandez made that deal recently to go back to the Dodgers. So Anthony looks like the hot outfield bat that's still left. MLB Network talked about it earlier. Let's play that clip and we'll react on the other side.
We talk about Anthony Santander and the number 44 career year for him. A lot of teams could use his services. Who is at the top of that list right now?
Well, let's start with Toronto, Lauren, because we know the Blue Jays have been very active in free agency, but they have yet to land the big piece. And they finished second or third, depending on your interpretation of different free agent pursuits so far this winter. At some point, a major name will take their offer, and that person could be Anthony Santander, who knows the American League East very well. Of course, the success that he had in Baltimore. The Tigers are also involved in the Santander sweepstakes. Evan Petzold has reported on this as well in the Detroit Free Press. And the Los Angeles Angels have also been mentioned as a fit. I tend to think, though, Lauren, that the Tigers and Blue Jays are near the top of the list, if not the number one or number two potential suitors for Anthony Santander. His market could potentially move, and I know we'll get more into Alex Bregman's market later on in the show, but Bregman and Santander, there is some overlap there. We've seen the Tigers linked to Bregman. We've seen also the Red Sox linked to Alex Bregman. I do think the Santander and Bregman markets are linked in some way, shape, or form because of the potential involvement of the Blue Jays and the Tigers in both of those.
So you're hearing that. Santander, Toronto, Detroit.
Yeah.
Be strange for Orioles fans to see him in Toronto. And personally, unless you're chasing the money for Tony, I don't.
What do you want to be in Toronto for?
I just don't know direction-wise for Toronto. They're in a weird situation here, and they have been. They've been a team that's been trying to build up, but they haven't had the success on the field. They have Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. They've been a team that's been projected to contend in the AL East, and they haven't lived up to those expectations. Detroit is that team now that looks like they're ready, right? And I feel like Detroit would make sense.
I think Houston makes a lot of sense.
I think Houston, that was the one team I was going to wait to sleep on.
I feel like we're finishing each other's sentences today.
Yeah. Houston Astros. I think Tony Taters would light it up in Houston.
I do too.
And I think if we're talking about a team that's not linked to Tony, it is Houston.
Yeah.
Like we saw about things of going, where does these teams pop out of nowhere? I think Houston would be the team. They need the fit. It makes sense. Why not go to a place, especially with that short porch in in left field for Tony as a switch hitter? It really would fit his needs, and they still have a competitive team. What do you think then about with Tony in Detroit and Toronto in general?
I think he goes to Toronto.
You do?
Yeah, because I think what John kind of said, someone's got to take the offers. Like Toronto is trying to give away money, and somebody's got to take the offer. They were in on Shohei, didn't get him. In on Juan Soto, didn't get him. In on Burns, didn't get him. Every top guy that has hit the market, it's been linked to Toronto. They've got to give somebody the money. I don't think he goes to the Tigers. I don't think that happens. I think the only team, like you guys said, maybe a Houston comes in and gets him. I think that would be his best fit. But I think of just teams that are willing to just spend money because they're in desperation mode. It's Toronto. They're okay giving up the extra few $1 million because they're supposed to be competing. We don't know what they're going to be doing because if they don't get a Tony, if they don't add to this team, are they taking away Vlad because he's a free agent after next year? Is he going to sign? You have Bo Bichette. We've seen rumors of him getting traded possibly. I think it's going to be Toronto solely because I think Toronto's going to overspend because they want to get somebody. They just want to get somebody. And I think Tony kind of fits that mold of he's a good player. He would add something to their lineup, and they are desperate enough where they'll give a big overpay for him to come play in Toronto.
And that's where it comes down to.
Yeah.
I feel like the Toronto Blue Jays have been in on every player that's ever existed in free agency.
They got to get somebody. That's my reasoning. They got to get somebody.
At some point, you think they have to, but if they don't, well, you know what? You can't say they didn't try, but I want to go the other side with Detroit. Detroit obviously wants to add one more player, and you're seeing that Alex Bregman could be a good fit there. I still wouldn't rule out that Bregman goes to the Mets. I don't want him to go to the Red Sox for the AL East concern, but I'll tell you this, guys, the one free agent that's left that could have the biggest impact on a team making a postseason run is Alex Bregman. I love him as a player. I don't think people understand how good of a player he is, even on his down years. He hits for contact. He doesn't strike out much. He plays good defense, and it has that it factor. Why wouldn't you want a guy like that? But it feels like if Detroit doesn't get Bregman, I could see Tony sliding in there. But I also think that Alex could. Yeah, the Mets want everybody, don't they? I think the Mets want absolutely everybody. But that's the one guy. Like, that is my one guy that I know that the report is Bregman wants like $200 million. That was the report out of camp. He is, to me, a complete game changer, and it's still a guy that's waiting around. But this is how free agency gets, Brad. Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Tony's market – also, I thought the market would be hotter. The fact that Teoscar went back for 3 years, $65 million, what was it? Tony's market's probably not going to be as hot as was initially anticipated, solely based off of how some of these other deals have gone.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso's
I was just about
deal.
to say the Mets want everybody but Pete Alonso.
Yeah. Also, real fast, this stat just blows my mind every time I read it on Twitter, and then I looked it up to confirm it. Alex Bregman has 191 home runs in his career, only 14 to the opposite field.
Wow.
Only 14 times he's gone out. I mean, obviously the Crawford boxes help, but you just think like only because, like you said, he's one of the best. If you go over the past 8 years, one of the best hitters in baseball. It feels like, especially a clutch moment. Alex Bregman's always delivering. Only 14 times went opposite field homer.
Yeah,
it's one of those stats where you read and you're like, that can't be right.
But it is.
Yeah, but it is.
It would be a fascinating conversation. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what about Bregman to the Orioles? Jordan Westburg's your third baseman. And we're gonna stand with that. Jackson Holliday should be your second baseman to start this year. Gunner's your shortstop. The Orioles infield is done.
Yeah.
Would the Orioles bring back Tony Taters? Just humor me for a second. And then they have the ability to trade Heston away.
That's I brought up this thing. I sound Kevin and Zach correct. I could see it being a very solid strategy to bring back Tony, and then you use Heston Kjerstad, and you go to a team like the Mariners, and you're like, we want one of the young guys.
That makes too much sense. I love everything about what you just said.
That's the one part, is that if this is my thing, if you keep Heston, and I love Heston, Pig Suey, Razorbacks, he's got to play this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he has to play.
Where do you put him?
He has to play.
Yeah.
He has to play. And if he's not going to play, the best opportunity for him is to trade him somewhere else. And I'm with you. If they make that decision and they want to bring Tony back, then Heston has to be in the deal somewhere else.
It has to.
Because he is a guy, I still believe Heston has a chance to hit 25, 30 jacks in the big leagues per year.
Yeah.
And we saw, if he didn't get hurt last year,
he started
Clay
getting
Holmes,
right. He started getting right.
He was on fire coming up there, and I thought that was going to continue. But the Orioles, I think the other part is they don't want to have 3 left-handed hitters started in their outfield. That's why they got Tyler O'Neill as a right-handed bat, because Kowser, he needs his at-bats. Cedric needs his at-bats. Tyler O'Neill breaks that up, because if you had Heston, then it's 3 lefties. But if you bring Tony back, switch hitter, now you have that variety again. But I don't know if you made that commitment for Tyler O'Neill now, would you then do another 3-year, $70 million deal? So that's would you spend over $130 million, which you probably have to do for 2 players for 1 position? That's what it come down to, and that's the part that I get hung up on. That's what it's for, fighting for 1 spot.
Yeah, I think the only thing that saved you there is Tony being a switch hitter. I think that's the point where, and we've seen him be the DH. We've seen him. I think that's where you can sort of get away with it still, just because I think you would kind of be solidifying as, hey, Tony, him and O'Neill would just switch off. DH.
It's another 30 plus, 40 plus home runs a season. Bringing back Tony Taters.
But the one thing is, for Tony, You're going to, and I think Oriole fans, you love him because you've embraced the persona and he's been that guy through the good and the bad, but you also know what you're getting with Tony. He'll light the world on fire. He'll probably lead your team in maybe your top offensive categories, homers, RBIs,
extra base hits. And I think Gunnar I got to see what Gunnar had last year. But the one thing you're going to have to live with, Tony is not a guy that is going to be this on-base machine. And you are going to have to live with the fact what is his blessing to hit any ball anywhere in the stratosphere of home plate. He's also going to swing in every pitch in that stratosphere. And there's a reason why that batting average isn't as high. There's a reason why when you're looking at Teoscar Hernandez and Santander, though they have similarities, Teoscar, at least average-wise hitting, is a little bit more consistent than Tony. So we could talk about that for a while. But the Orioles, make no mistake, it will be interesting to see what they do, and we will see what happens with Anthony Santander here in the next couple of weeks because, guys, we are about a month and a half away from pitchers and catchers reporting. Yep.
Yeah.
It's here. Time is here. The time is now. And I cannot wait.
90 days away from opening day, something like that.
It's close.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
It is crazy. Well, hey, guys, you new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, do this live every Monday, Thursday, whenever the Ravens play. We got so much in store here for 2025. We're actually talking about how we are enhancing all of this, but we have some things we can't tell you about just yet, but there are a lot of great things, and including our baseball coverage is going to be, I think, through the roof.
Yes.
Am I missing anything, guys?
No. I will say just last thing, John Morosi's Hall of Fame ballot was released, and there's some interesting names checked off for the vote. Like, I love him. I don't know why Brian McCann received a Hall of Fame vote over. Yeah, there's just it's been going viral on Twitter right now, and a lot of people. There were some questionable votes there over some guys. So. Yeah, very, very interesting. Felix Hernandez, Torrey Hunter don't get a vote, but Brian McCann and Chase Utley do. Ian Kinsler got a vote over Felix Hernandez.
What?
Yeah,
make any sense.
Yeah, that's just.
We got to have John on to talk about this.
Yeah. We do it because it is. People are not happy with him.
By the way, welcome back, Kelly.
He's back. So apparently it was hard, Brad, to when the stream's over to have people join.
Yeah, it is.
So how do you join how do you join the channel? Do we know?
It's as it always is. It's on the subscribe button. It's right next to the subscribe button. The join button is next to
even when
go to the homepage. You can go. I can go to it right here on my computer, and it's right there.
I think it was maybe that you can have some trouble on the phone because I couldn't figure it out on the phone.
It's an iPhone problem.
Oh, see, there it is.
Yep, there it
the
is.
iPhone.
I'm not being a hater. It's just the truth. I only have this problem with iPhone users.
It's true. I mean, yeah,
that's 100% the truth.
It's okay. Well, speaking of new phones, I need a new phone. But guys, I think we're good for today. I know Notre Dame and Georgia are playing currently.
Yeah, it's a ref show.
That's good to hear.
Nice.
Can't wait to watch.
Georgia went 3 and out to start the game on the 3 worst play calls I've ever seen. And then Notre Dame ran into the punter twice on back-to-back plays. And that's how the game started.
Perfect. This is
followed by a 3 and out by Notre Dame. And now we're playing football.
You know, it would have been great. We would have loved to have a Nick Moore on here. And this is crazy how you did this camera thing. This looks phenomenal. But Nick is probably a mess. We'll be talking about this.
The triple reverse for a loss of 7, I'm sure, had him saying some things at the TV.
I'm just saying this.
This is why he's not on the show, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. If Georgia does not win this game, I want Georgia to win for Nick because I care about our friends. But if you guys have watched the college football playoff here,
listen, I do want Nick, the dogs to win for Nick's sake, but I kind of don't want the dogs to win for Nick's sake.
Oh, if we got Nick on
the
here
content
that
they lost to Notre Dame,
yeah,
of course,
a team that he has roasted.
Yeah, especially if there's some like questionable calls at the end or something. like I feel like that would be a peak Nick Moore moment.
Like literally all this entire playoffs, anytime somebody's been losing, Nick has been the first one to call that team frauds.
Yep, every time
in our little group chat.
Yep.
And I know for a fact that Rip's going to be the first one to call.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just saying this. You know, you can say all we want. I don't want to hear any damn excuse about bowl games don't matter. Players are sitting out. Michigan sat their entire starting defense. It felt like they were just out. They were 14.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
14.5 points. Michigan lost their quarterback, and they're like, we're just going to run the football.
Yep. Where's the
I'm just saying.
Is Ole Miss playing right now?
Ole Miss?
No, they play at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
Who they play?
Duke. And
my God.
Let me just tell you, Lane Kiffin, after all the things that he has been saying, if they do not win, they can't just win. They have to dominate.
They have to win by 30.
Because Lane Kiffin has been talking out of his ass for the past 2 weeks, ever since the committee made the decision.
Also, this guy is a Raven.
Skybo, yes. Skybo.
He's going to a Harbaugh. He's going to a Harbaugh.
Has to.
I could see him on the Chargers, though. Honestly, I could see Jim.
He's one of those guys that he's going to get drafted somewhere. So people are going to forget about him for 2 years as he kind of learns the ropes, works his way up in the NFL. And then it's going to be one of those things where in a year or two, midway through his first year, everyone's like, wait, Cam Scatterbo's going off in the NFL now. He just doesn't go down.
The Ravens draft him. They don't sign Henry back after next year, and then he starts.
Just let Cam go.
Yep.
Just something when you watch him sometimes, you're like, man, it doesn't seem like he's moving at all. But and then he gets 6 yards.
He and Genty are very similar in the fact of they hand it off, they run up the middle, they hit off of 9 different players, don't go down, and that's how they gain 6 yards.
I love it.
There's never nice hole open by the offensive line, and he gets tackled for a gain of 6. It's 3 guys in the backfield, bounces off all of them, hits 3 more guys as he hits the line of scrimmage, bounces through all of them, and then falls forward with 2 guys for 6 yards. And you're like, just another day in the office.
Well, and they showed the highlight. Christian McCaffrey and Scatterbo are the only 2 backs in the last X amount of years that had over 1,500 rush yards and 500 receiving yards.
Yeah, he's a receiving back. And people don't know
him and McCaffrey. That's the company he's in. Was with Christian McCaffrey and Scatterbo.
He's going to go mid draft this year, and someone's going to be very happy.
And you know what? The last thing I'll say about Genty though, Genty, the difference at least between the two, Genty, if he does get through the hole, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
Scatterbo needs to unhook the trailer sometimes.
Sometimes he does, but you know what? He literally did everything, and he was the MVP of the Peach Bowl. Good for him.
Yes.
But guys, I think that closes it out. I know we'll have some stuff planned for our Gridiron Golf later this week and into the playoffs. We're definitely going to take it down, hopefully to the lots for some more tailgating. But we're also going to have Gridiron Golf come in here to teach us more ways to play the game. And they're a Baltimore-based company. That's what I also love about them. It's just like us. They care about the community, and they want to bring people together. What's more fun than bringing people together to putt and get really ticked off that you can't make a 5-foot putt, right?
It's
nothing like
infuriating.
Nothing like it. Well, Zach, you need to get some practice and get those numbers
up.
It's
unreal.
Guys, we appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. And there's the music. Bum, bum. As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend. We'll be back on Saturday for pregame. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. It is Thursday. See you guys. But it could be Sunday. It could be.